With some of the gaming news stories that have been running recently, the question has popped up over whether or not it's okay to make fun of games, and apparently by extension game developers who are being seen as collateral damage in some of these cases, according to how offended some of them have been lately. As I mentioned in my last episode, Christopher Judge had a moment at the 2023 Game Awards where he made a joke about the latest Call of Duty's campaign being short, in comparison to his infamously long speech from the last Game Awards where he won Best Performance for acting as Kratos in God of War Ragnarok. Some Call of Duty devs were upset with him over this, and took to Twitter to bemoan the idea that anyone would ever make fun of a game that had such a tumultuous development cycle, as if he was directly jabbing the developers themselves. But he never mentioned the devs, he just made a joke about the campaign being short, a sentiment literally everybody shares, whether they excuse it or not, because it simply is. But that didn't stop the devs from putting on their victim glasses and acting like it's some big sin to joke about the quality of video games, because I guess you're actively bullying the devs if you do, which started a whole discourse that has since bled into other news stories. I have to do a lot of set dressing here to stage the rest of the topic so I can actually talk about it, so bear with me. But another iteration of this discourse I've seen is in regard to The Day Before, the most wishlisted game on Steam for quite some time that finally released and turned out to be a total scam. Promotional material looked extremely different from what they actually built, which in all likelihood was cobbled together at the last minute to actually have a product to avoid being sued. The game released to the most negative popular reception in recent history. It was pulled from Steam, and the studio who made it is now shutting down. Most would argue rightfully so, but according to certain performative pearl clutchers in the industry, celebrating a scam game and scam studio getting blasted is in poor taste because some of the people who worked on the game, like low-level programmers or animators, might have just been innocent hires doing a job they no longer have, and thus their collateral damage means it's not okay to celebrate the closing of the studio. It's just gotta be so annoying and limiting to be this cautiously mindful of every potential consequence of how you feel about anything. These motherfuckers literally burn calories, racking their brains trying to think of ways to stifle their opinions and keep their honest reactions in check. A graphic artist losing their job making art for a game that was designed from the beginning to mislead and take people's money does not make me lose sleep, and it certainly doesn't make me think twice before cheering the downfall of an incompetently conniving team. When multi-level marketing schemes, for example, crumble, I don't shed tears for the grunts at the bottom who willingly became foot soldiers and contributed to the continued success of a scam. Whether they were tricked into it, whether they were unaware of it, the end result is still money being undeservedly coaxed out of other people's wallets thanks to their effort, and I'm certainly not going to give them so much consideration that I can't even tweet about being happy when their organization goes belly up. Like, what? The scam game failed, fuck everyone behind it, let's drink to their deserved demise. All you do with that bleeding heart shit is create human shields, using the unsuspecting grunts to block controversy and public outcry that is meant for the higher-ups who actually orchestrated all that. I'm not running defense for the scammers. No, you're just obfuscating the issue, which in literal terms is throwing up a smokescreen for the scammers to hide behind, which by process of linguistic analysis is running defense for the fucking scammers, dumbass. In gamer terms, it's like saying, I'm not directly buffing their defense stat, I'm just creating walls on the field that they can use to take cover, which happens to also boost their defense stat. It's hard to imagine being that daft. Anyway, that's the more serious issue, where devs martyring themselves as victims of jokes and public opinion, or other people doing it for them, can be used as a deterrent from criticism that helps breed more scams like The Day Before, whereas the Call of Duty devs whining on Twitter about their game being made fun of and taking it personally is just them being fucking babies. It's actually just embarrassing to watch. I can't believe he would joke about the length of a campaign in a year where game devs are being laid off by the thousands. That's funny, considering that of all those layoffs, several Google searches didn't bring up any of them coming from Sledgehammer Games, the makers of this year's Call of Duty. You guys certainly got crunched on, but I didn't see any layoffs. I wouldn't be shocked if some did happen in the future, though, after the abject failure of a Call of Duty you guys had to rush out, and maybe blaming you as developers for that isn't the answer, but some of you are the ones who decided to jump out in front of Christopher Judge's joke like it was a bullet you took straight to the heart. Take an objective look back at your rushed creation. It was rushed. Of course the campaign was short. Why would you take that personally? You of all people know the circumstances that led to that. Why should it bother you if we make fun of a product that there's no way you could be happy and satisfied with? You acknowledge that the campaign is short by making excuses justifying why it had to be short. But if anyone else says it's short, they're an asshole. You're the only ones who get to criticize your game? Alrighty. Grown men out here acting like victims of bullying online. Even the guy who voiced Captain Price in the campaign called out Christopher Judge. He tweeted the day after the Game Awards, "That Christopher Judge guy writes all his own material, I hear. Talented. And then an eyeball emoji and a clown emoji. Bro, you're how old? Barry Sloan is 42. This dude looks like Shia LaBeouf's uncle, and he's on Twitter typing clown emojis at the absolute tamest jokes imaginable. That one really got under your skin. You were in the booth for 3 hours collecting the easiest check of your life, and you're pressed about this? Next time I play a game with Captain Price in it that tries to depict him as a badass, I'm going to remember that the guy voicing him got mad at a joke on Twitter, and it's really going to take me out of it. Making jokes about games is kind of my career, so I don't love the idea of devs who think of themselves as a protected class trying to turn video games into a sacred cow, and it's so weird that it's happening at the feet of, like I said, the tamest possible joke. It really was as simple as, they said my last speech was 7 minutes and 58 seconds. That's longer than the last Call of Duty campaign. I even phrased it better for him because the way he delivered it was a little counterintuitive to the idea of the punchline, but it's so little to get mad at, it's unbelievable. So yes, it is absolutely okay to joke about games. It's okay to make fun of their quality. It's okay to make fun of literally any aspect about them you want. They're jokes. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe. Watch all my other videos and tweet clown emojis at me afterwards, and I'll see you guys next time.